clouds parted over the Isles of Boreas. It was time to choose. The rebellion was in trouble. Ravens were scouting for the secret rebel base. They needed a game changer. Pieces of the Sky Ripper had surfaced. Or so a scholar in the mountains had told him. Surely the weapon that banished the lost gods could defeat the Emperor. Also, a temple had risen out of empty desert, as tempting as it was to explore ancient mysteries. There was a war going on, and also, his old friend Lupino needed rescuing. Of course, Reynardo had a pretty strong suspicion that Lupino had betrayed the rebellion. But could Reynardo really leave an old friend to the Ravens? The island was windswept desert. No one went there except ostriches and ostrich hunters. The Iblis Stone. It sounded ominous. It sounded powerful. If the Emperor was searching for it, it must be dangerous. And so, Reynardo went ostrich hunting. Every child could sing verses about the Sky Ripper, but ancient codices held hints of other things. A stone that ate souls, a ruby that drank blood, a jewel only a righteous man could give away. Were all these things the Iblis Stone? Long hidden in a buried temple? Another ancient item that was only resurfacing now? Drawn up from the deeps by the Emperor's horrific rituals? Ravens were already here, cawing in frustration. They were still searching for a way in. Good. And he hadn't come too late. Well, no sense collecting more materials. It was time to make something pointy.
Goth is over.
The Ravens at least could not get past this point. Obviously, the temple builders knew how to deal with tomb raiders. It was a bit windy up here. It was a stone of the purest blackness. It reflected no light, like a void made solid. Nervous, he picked it up. I can make you mighty. Who said that? Give me blood. It was the stone, eager, thirsty. Kill the Emperor's daughter. That seemed tempting and terribly wrong. Zenobia was the Emperor's greatest general and a potent witch. But they had been close once, and Reynardo wasn't sure he really wanted to be Emperor. Why not capture the core of Skyripper instead? It was the eye of a lost god torn out by the transcendent Emperor to power his greatest weapon. "Not the core," said the stone anxiously. Was he listening to a talking rock? But the rock had a point. If the stone could truly turn him into a powerful warrior, he could defeat the Emperor with the very weapon the wicked old toad had sought for himself. To be a hero, you had to sacrifice old friends sometimes, especially when they've become enemies. As he placed the impossibly black crystal in his gauntlet, Reynardo had a sudden vision. Charred fields covered in dead ravens below a black sun. Was it the time of the lost gods before the transcendent Emperor? Was it the future? Feed these souls, it whispered. Take the power. He could feel the stone's hunger for souls, its thirst for blood. All right, I get it. This was going to be interesting. What were these poles exactly? Parking meters from the time of the lost gods? Zenobia's island were no match for Reynardo. They screamed as the stones sucked out their souls, and with each death, he felt stronger. Take the power, the stone told him. It would be nice to see Zenobia again. Maybe this time, he wouldn't screw things up with her. He wondered how many chances he'd get. Was there a limit? Or would he be stuck with the consequences if he ran out of do-overs? Zenobia was waiting for Reynardo. She was alone, confident as always. Fire danced at the tips of her claws. Are you here to surrender? She seemed as cocksure as he felt. But she didn't know he had the stone. And I've missed you too, love. He chuckled. She spotted the stone and bolted without another word. Where was a workbench when you needed one? Oh, never mind. Finally, Reynardo caught up to her. He had never seen her scared before, At school, she'd been the determined, brave one. Now her eyes were wide, frightened. He didn't like seeing her this way. "Kill her," whispered the stone. "You cannot win your rebellion without it." "Please." "No," said Zenobia. "Not that way." Oh, they had been so close once. Could he really feed her soul to his demonic gem? But if he spared her, he would not get the full power of the stone. Oh, how could he be the hero he wanted to be? Reynardo hesitated. Zenobia was his greatest enemy. She was the Emperor's daughter and his greatest general, and the single person Reynardo least wanted to remove from this world, especially that way. She was holding her arms out before her, hands fluttering, fending him off with hopeless urgency. Nope, she was weaving a spell. He couldn't move. "This thing is evil," she said. She slid the Iblistone out of its slot in his gauntlet and slipped it into a bag. "Maybe we can learn from it." She eyed him with a strange, wry, apologetic look. "I missed you too." And before he could move again, she was gone. Learn from the Iblistone? What did that mean? Would she take it to the palace or to the observatory on the Nexus? If she thought it was evil, she wouldn't want it in the palace. Maybe I can outrace her to the observatory, thought Reynardo. Cats can run faster, but foxes can run longer. Reynardo felt a little sick. Ever since Zenobia had taken the stone from him, he'd felt an ache that wouldn't go away. He missed it. He wanted it back. He needed it back. Why hadn't he killed her when he had the chance? She was the enemy. He hadn't even seen her in 14 years. Why had he hesitated? You're a sucker for an empowered woman. Reynardo kicked himself. Don't make that mistake again. Zenobia thought the stone was evil. Was it? He longed to have it back. He'd felt so good killing ravens with it, and yet he'd felt unclean ever since he'd touched it. She confused him. She'd made him want to be a better fox, and then she'd abandoned him, never telling him she was the Emperor's daughter, never contacting him since. Well, who was she to tell him the stone was evil? Don't look down, he told himself. Don't look down. materials he had. Reynardo had a pretty good idea, actually. The scientist's toes were pointing arcane instruments at the stone and looking at it through prisms and reflections. "Mine," said Reynardo as he took back the stone. "Well, we need it for science," croaked the toads. So he killed them. He felt better immediately. Smarter, too. "I thought you'd never come for me," whispered the stone. Then, a far-speaker toad croaked in something like Zenobia's voice.
"Reynardo, leave the stone with the toads. It will swallow your soul. You'll kill everyone you love."
But Reynardo had an army to lead, an empire to bring down. "Leave the stone. Shh, won't say that," whispered the stone. It was right. Wasn't Zenobia the Emperor's greatest general? Wasn't Reynardo fighting for the rebellion? Of course you wouldn't want him to have it. "Wouldn't you make a better emperor than Isaac III?" added the stone. "You know what? I would," thought Reynardo. Or maybe he said it out loud. He would go see the council and lead their armies to victory. All he had to do was call them on the far speaker. Ah, damn. Well, wouldn't they be surprised anyway? The ruins. Reynardo had come there as a kid when it was still the fabulous city of Ubar, before the Emperor's ravens had come to pillage ancient books from its library and destroyed it. Now the rebel council lay hidden underneath the ruins. And between here and there, all these ravens to kill. They deserved it for what they'd done to the city, and the faster he could kill them, the more of a rush they gave him. He thought about Hypatia. Oh, she'd been an amazing rabbit. She could talk to him about comics and talk to her son about history and battles and talk to scholars about the ancient tomes hidden deep in the vaults of the library of Ubar. Oh, Reynardo really missed her. Tried to be nice to Zenobia, not killing her and all. And what did she do? She stole the gem from him and made him kill all those scientists. Next time she's... whispered the stone. Ravens? Reynardo knew how the stone felt. Each raven he killed gave him a little jolt of pleasure. But he could only kill them so fast, and the pleasure wore off too quickly. Hopefully soon he would face a more powerful adversary. "Yes," whispered the stone. Not with a bunch of mangy ravens. As he reached the secret entrance, he was shocked to see Zenobia talking with the council. She bore a white flag. "The council has betrayed you," whispered the stone. "Kill them." "What are you doing here, love?" Reynardo demanded. "Come for the brown muffins?"
"She's worried about you,"
croaked the council speaker.
"We all are."
"You're not yourself," Zenobia said. Before they could get into the rest of the intervention, he leapt at her. Unfortunately, the council speaker blocked him, so he slew her and the other council members. "I'm not giving up," cried Zenobia as she darted off into the ruins. "I think I just killed the entire rebel council," said Reynardo.
"See how much power they've given you."
"But they were on my side, weren't they?"
"No one is on your side, except for me."
He set sail for the fleet. There, at least, there would be enemies to kill. Unless that was the Iblastone talking. He could never be sure. Anyway, who needed other rebels here? They'd only get in the way. A true hero fights alone after he's got all his friends killed. A portal that led right into the middle of the fleet. Look at the glaring weakness in the defense. Reynardo wondered what would happen if he jumped. Would he be rescued by an emergency platform? The world was so beautiful. Everything was glowing, breathing, alive. Except, okay, the ravens. But the wind was alive, like a million fingers caressing his hair. He'd never felt so powerful. He'd never felt so sexy. Somewhere down the path would be the Emperor. Reynardo would slay him, most powerful man in Erda. And the Iblastone would give Reynardo all that power. And he would be Emperor. And then he would set everyone free. Ravens didn't smell any better dead, Reynardo thought. he was face to face with Zenobia. She was still unarmed. No fire crackled from her claws.
Excellent. Kill her.
Whispered the stone. He raised his sword for the killing blow. "Is this what you really want?" she asked. "Or is it what the stone wants?"
Think of the power.
Insisted the stone. "I don't want to kill you," he told Zenobia, his arm still raised. "I know." But he could not put the sword down. "It wants blood," he told her. "I know. Oh, help me," he said. "She stabbed herself." "Take my blood," she said.
No, you mustn't.
Cried the Iblis stone. "Oh, no! Why did you—" He ran to embrace her, and she plunged her bloody dagger into his heart. "Why?" he said. "We'll be together in the halls of the valiant," she said. "I love you," he said. "Thank you." And the Iblis stone screamed, and then it began to glow. It burst into flames. It burned like an ember. And then it was ash that blew away in the wind. And Zenobia and Reynardo died in each other's arms. He should go back to some of the choices he'd faced before. Maybe there were new paths that had opened up, like those doors he was opening up all over the map that took him to new treasures and around his enemies. But he'd learned another true thing. Zenobia still had feelings for him.